Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 53rd. That means we completed one full year. One full year of us, which is a lot.
Woo!
I mean, we talked about this last week. Who can deal with a whole year of something every single week, year in and year out? And we've done it for the most part. I mean, we may have skipped 1 week here, 1 week there, but everyone's entitled to 2 weeks off a year. Anyway, this is a serious conversation now.
Very serious.
What is a cyber missile?
Yeah. Well, apparently, a cyber missile is when a terrorist can launch a cyber attack directly at your computer, and it blows up your monitor or your keyboard right in your face, killing you and possibly your whole family. It's very serious, and it happens all the time.
So is this something we have to be worried about? The terrorists launching cyber missiles?
One thing people don't really know about computers is basically how they're built on a mechanical level. Now, every monitor, keyboard, computer tower, every piece of your computer has actually got plastic explosives packed in around it. So if you really, really hate someone across the internet, you can blow up their system. It's really more of a safety measure than anything else.
But this is why when I go through secure TSA at the airport, they make me take out my laptop, turn it on, run it through everything else and just to double check.
Exactly. So we've actually seen the great documentary Die Hard 4 deal with this a lot, where if you pressed a delete key, now those were obviously infected computers, but if a person pressed the delete key, their computer exploded, destroying their apartment building.
Okay. I'm still trying to comprehend this because this all sounds to me like a really bad Onion article. The problem is, and we'll link it in the show notes, is that this was put out by Fox News.
Oh, I wish it were put out by Fox News. This is on Yahoo News.
Well, I have a Fox News article. Mystery surrounds cyber missile that crippled Iran's nuclear weapons ambition.
Oh, so it's now gone viral within the journalists.
Hold on. Now I'm saying these cyber missiles started in November 2010. So for 4 years now, for almost 4 years, we've had these cyber missiles. And what's scary is that we've only heard about them in the last week. And given the 24-hour news sources and the ability to cause and instill panic, for 4 years we did not hear about this.
Right. This is something we probably should have been concerned about for a very long time.
Yeah. Cyber missiles. And well, I mean, look, as much as it sounds crazy and everything else, the news did recently. You said this is on the front page of Yahoo. I'm still looking for it, but they said that we need to be.
Yahoo is where I found mine.
But the fact that some news reporter thought that this was a good idea to say out loud. I mean, I don't know. I don't eat. As the girls say, and well, as everyone says, I can't even. I think that's the new meme.
So I'm gonna go ahead and link this over to you. And here's kind of one of the latest things. It's Yahoo News, and right there, right in the big bold second headline. Australia has flown 144 sorties on Islamic State extremists, but it's believed ISIS or IS, Islamic State, has already struck first, launching a cyber missile on Australian computer systems. I'm not making this up. This isn't from The Onion. It's not from FARC. This is cyber missile.
Drew Curtis, a friend of the show, who's been on the N30 show, has never claimed to be fake news. It's all real news, but it's just crazy that somebody would think that this is a good thing to report on.
Yeah.
And look, as much as we're trying not to laugh, and you should be hysterical, you should be on the floor right now, is that people don't know what they're doing, is causing this what we call FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and saying that we have to now worry about something that is not really true at all. Yes, terrorists And we had this: the Syrian Electronic Army, the Chinese, the Russians. Insert people who hate the U.S. here want to cause problems on your computer. They're going to put viruses out. They're not cyber missiles. They're not going to kill you. They're not going to do anything. They're going to try and hack. They're going to try and get your information, but they're not. I don't want to even. They're malicious, but they're not physical danger.
And I can tell you, and you're gonna hear first here on this show. This is the #1 flawless, foolproof way to stop cyber attacks, to stop any sort of hacks or virus on your local computer. We're not talking about the internet. We're not talking about your online email accounts. But on your computer, there's one flawless way to stop an attack. You pull the plug. That's it. I mean, cyber missiles? Come on. But yeah, no, the news does this stuff all the time, especially mainstream news that reaches a lot of people. You know, you see Fox News do this, you see CNN jump on board, MSNBC. None of them are innocent in this, but they'll make up some term or some words or something that sounds really scary when it comes to computer security. And of course, now we're seeing, I guess, the resurgence of the term cyber missile to get people riled up and thinking, wait a minute, it's not just hackers, these are terrorists, and they have cyber missiles. No, guys, that's not how this works. That's not how this works at all. There's no guy with like a big truck selling digital munitions over to the Islamic State or any other terrorist group out there. This is, at best hilarious, and at worst, you might see some more phishing emails or something.
I mean, what they're trying to explain is that how these terrorist organizations are trying to gain money, or by creating either ransomware, like a version of CryptoLocker, or trying to do some phishing attacks, or just straight up marketing, saying, hey, if you hate the U.S., join us, and we'll make sure that you're wealthy and everything else. But it's basically just a combination of social media and phishing attacks. They're not missiles. They're just phishing attacks.
Yeah, that's really it. We've seen CryptoLocker. We've talked about CryptoLocker on this show before. The really horrible and well-built malware that encrypts all your files with really good encryption and says, hey, you got to pay me X amount of dollars or else I'm not going to decrypt your files and lose everything. At that point, you have to recover from backups or pay them or lose everything. And it looks like certain terrorist groups are taking advantage of this and releasing their own branded versions of CryptoLocker or similar malware to try to get people to give them money to unlock their machines or their sensitive files. And I guess that could work. It's not a cyber missile. I mean, it's the same sort of ransomware, fraudware we've seen forever. It's just now it's being used to fundraise instead of just to line pocketbooks.
And I mean, the problem is we see this all the time. You see it, and on the 5 o'clock, coming up at 5 o'clock, can Apple Pay hurt you? It's one of those, you see it on Facebook all the time, those stories that basically say, you won't believe what happens next, or are they out to get you? And it's one of those things just to drive eyeballs to whatever site, whatever newscast, whatever it is, and they're not doing anybody a service. Most of the time, all these security things blow up or get very large, and it's because people are scared. And most of the stuff had nothing to do with it. You couldn't stop the Target hacks. You couldn't stop the Home Depot hacks. And now, which is a good thing, everyone's afraid of credit cards. The number one, I think I read this or I heard this, people are more concerned about credit card breaches than people lifting their password.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how to continue with this, but other than whatever you're listening, think about it. The Ebola scare. We're all going to die of Ebola. People have said, I don't want to go to New York because there may be Ebola there.
Yeah, that's another thing.
I mean, I didn't want to visit Tom a few weeks ago because the lady came out of Cincinnati, which is in the same state that Tom may be living in.
And it's, in the same place that I might have a job in, or near the same place I might have a job in. So, I probably am going to get Ebola. We might have to cancel the show.
I mean, 21 days ago, the first person in the U.S. had Ebola, and what they say, the Kardashians had more marriages than the number of people that had Ebola. Yes, there's a doctor with Ebola, and yes, it's a scary thing. And yes, we should be concerned about just general public health, but one of those things, for weeks on end, all we heard on CNN is all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, this opens up a wider topic beyond security, beyond computers, beyond technology, about alarmism, about sensationalism, and look at Ebola is a perfect example. Look at the people who have gotten Ebola. The vast majority of them, healthcare workers. You know why that is? They're treating the people with Ebola. You think pediatricians get more colds and sniffles and other just annoying childhood illnesses more often than normal people? Yes, I guarantee you they do. They take measures and wash their hands like everyone else, but they're exposed to it more often. It only makes sense. But you constantly see, and you see it a lot in information security, because a lot of people don't understand this stuff. A lot of people think this computer is this magical black box and it does this stuff, and pictures of their grandkids pop up every now and again, and that makes them happy. And that's great. But now you've got the news cycle trying to gain eyeballs, and they're trying to tell people that there's this giant cyber war going on around them. And, I'm not going to lie, there are attacks going on all the time on all kinds of different systems. Should they be afraid? No. Are they attacking us? Not really. Should you be totally fearful and unplug your computer from the internet and hide in a hole for 20 years? No, not at all. Yes, there are things to be fearful of, but, not using your computer, being afraid of the internet in general, isn't the solution. Being more aware of your security, enabling two-factor authentication, not using password as your password. Things like that can actually protect you from the vast majority of what goes on the internet. But these news sites, with terms like cyber missile, or e-war, or other really horrible things that I shake my head at every time I read them. We don't need to scare people like this. It's a thing they do to grab eyeballs, and it's annoying.
I mean, as a school teacher, all I hear is state testing. How education has gone from the greatest in the world to the worst because of too much high-stakes testing. And this is an epidemic, high-stakes testing. And if you're a parent, you may agree with me. But if it's one of those things at your job, you have all this really important things, and how did you not know that this widget is going to be terrible for you? Because your job makes it a big deal, or whatever you're interested makes it a big deal. It's the same thing. The newscasters don't know. They heard this thing. They need to fill 20 or whatever it is, 16 or 18 hours worth of news, so they latch on to anything they can do, and they don't give you the other side. And like we said, they're all guilty of this, both sides.
Yeah, there's no one news agency that hasn't done something sensationalist or given a slightly, clickbaity title, and I'm not entirely sure. Well, I have a couple of guesses of why that is, but no one knows for sure except them. But it's annoying, and frankly, we don't have to be that afraid of what's going on around us. We shouldn't be.
I mean, the funny part is that it's very well known, at least in the security community, as all these news sites have been hacked in the past, their ad networks, to put, when you click there, you would actually get infected. And they're hoping that you're running virus scans or whatever else, and they were caught right away. But nevertheless, it's kind of funny that they're telling you, be careful of all this, and yet they've been hacked before. But just in general.
Right, it's kind of...
In general, it's yes, you should be worried. You should. This is why we did the show. You should take charge of your security life and just look around you and don't do things that are not the right thing. But at the end of the day, it's most of the things you can prevent a lot of it. You can't prevent everything else, and you're hoping that others can do it for you.
Yeah, and it's getting easier every day to make your life more secure. Right? So we've got, great little two-factor authentication devices. Like I've got this random number generator here that generates random numbers. I've got a couple great YubiKeys for different sites that I access. I've got Google Authenticator on my smartphone here, and they all work great, and they're really easy, and they make things really secure. And I mean, you can really take charge of a lot of your security. Are you going to stop, the one guy that is really particular on hacking you, that absolutely wants to destroy you and all your credibility and whatever? Maybe he's a psychopath. I don't know. Probably not. But is that everyone? No. Most of this stuff is, I'm going to run a scan on the internet and see if someone's allowing me to remote control their computer with the password as password. And, that guy gets a lot of hits on that. Try not to be one of them. Take the target on your back and try to shrink it as much as you can. Keep Windows up to date. Keep your passwords strong. And, don't open weird attachments or click weird links in email. That's really going to be, your top big items to help protect yourself.
Again, this is why we do the show. I mean, and we can go from there. Do we have anything else? Because I have a quick bit of follow-up. We got a question from last week.
I think that's it. I think the moral of the story is anytime you see one of these sensationalist articles, stand back, take a breath, and think, okay, should I really be worried about this? And go to the people that know security. Tune into our show, look at what Steve Gibson's putting out, look at what Krebs is putting out on Krebs on Security. He's a great resource. Just take a look around at some of the more computer knowledgeable forums and news sites out there and say, well, should we really be worried? Ars Technica is a good one. The Verge isn't bad. There's a lot of good tech places to get your news.
You know what my new favorite Twitter account for security is?
Yes.
We're trying to get the very famous InfoSec Taylor Swift on.
Yep.
This is a shameless plug, but if you want to laugh and you want some knowledge in there, and I guess they're called Swifties, at Swift on Security. It's InfoSec Taylor Swift. And yes, it's a shameless plug to get InfoSec Taylor Swift to join us and have some fun. But if you want a great Twitter account to follow, where you'll get some security knowledge intertwined in there, absolutely.
It's not only a hilarious account, but it's probably one of the best I've seen for security and general security knowledge. It's really good. It's a good time.
And so, if you want to laugh, we can go from there. But back to our follow-up. So Kevin Whip, and I don't know if it's Whip or Whip. Since you mentioned TrueCrypt, this is going back to our TrueCrypt episode. What are your thoughts on CipherShed or on CipherShed, the TrueCrypt fork?
So I'm gonna go to the site to make sure this is what I'm thinking of. Okay. Give me a second. What it was? Yeah. Okay. This is what I was thinking of. When TrueCrypt went dark, went silent, and either they flew the warrant canary or the guy just said, "Look, I'm done developing. It's have fun, go away." Whatever happened when TrueCrypt.org, when the real site went away, we got forks and forks on forks on forks, and everyone was just like, this is an important thing. We have to keep this going. Let's fork the code and make a new one. Let's keep it going. Let's make sure it's getting audited. We can't let TrueCrypt die. And that is a valiant effort. That's what open source is about. And kudos to all of those guys, because it's not an easy job. Because I've done it before. It's difficult to keep stuff like that running. Really, really difficult. That said, I will still use the latest version of TrueCrypt on Steve Gibson's webpage. That's where I'm pulling TrueCrypt from. I can't attest to CipherShed on, its security, if it's been audited. I'm pretty sure it hasn't been audited. Have the developers introduced new bugs in it? Just like everything with security software. When we saw OpenSSL get forked by the BSD team to LibreSSL, they did a lot of cleanup, a lot of great things, but we also saw the introduction of some really major security bugs in LibreSSL. With security software, it's really the opposite of every other type of software. And every other type of software, you want the latest and greatest and the most features and to be fast and fantastic and fireworks everywhere when you open up the program. You want the opposite of that. Security software needs to be slow and boring, and it needs to plod along at the pace of, it takes 5 years to release 1 year worth of software. Security software needs to be developed very carefully, very slowly, and be analyzed every step of the way to make sure you're not introducing bugs. And that's why something like scrypt, which is a really sound, really fantastic hashing algorithm used to store sensitive information like passwords. That's why scrypt is not used over something like bcrypt, because bcrypt has been along for much longer. It's more tested. CipherShed isn't as tested. So I'd stay away from it for now. I'm very interested in the project. I think these guys are so far doing a fantastic job. But I would stick with TrueCrypt until we really get a handle on whether or not this is totally bug-free and truly secure.
I mean, like you said, go to the Steve Gibson site and get I guess his latest version of he didn't put the final TrueCrypt version on.
Right.
Which is it's the one before. So find whatever number it is. It's not the A version. Either way, it's the last one. And we've talked about how we think it's safe. There's no reason to move. I don't think they have a prettier version. I don't think any fork is there yet. It's just you know how to use TrueCrypt. There's no reason yet to leave. And you'll hear us or you'll hear the security community talking about when there is finally a competitor, because I think everyone just assumed we're going to keep the last good version, and we're just going to keep it like that until something comes, but nothing has come yet. That everyone trusts.
And the last good version of TrueCrypt, just so you guys know, 7.1a. And again, you can find that on grc.com. Go up to the top menu. It's in Other. And then you click on TrueCrypt repository. It's all right there. All the version, source code. Steve's got everything up there. That's great. But is CipherShed going to be the continuation of TrueCrypt? Is it going to be the next generation we all move to? Maybe. And I hope so. I hope someone, if anyone, takes up the mantle and decides to run with the old TrueCrypt code in a really good and responsible way to keep it going, because it's a fantastic product. Are they going to be the next one? We'll have to see. And the jury's still out. So far, I can't say anything bad about it, but I can't say anything great about it. So keep your eyes open. For now, TrueCrypt is perfectly fine.
And and we'll just hold to that and go from there. I don't have anything else. I know we still have a good 7 minutes left, but I think it's just keep it light, keep it short. It was a short week for me. We were both really busy, and we're in fact recording this on Sunday when we normally record on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But we will tell you, I think next week it will be a good show where we want to talk about the EFF's report on all the new chat clients.
Yeah.
We single-handedly went from AOL, Instant Messenger, and ICQ to 30 or 40 different softwares.
Yeah. There's a lot of them in there. And what surprises me, and this is your teaser for next week, so you'll tune in. What surprises me is, how many of those clients don't even use SSL to transmit your messages. It's pretty rad. And
I mean, and we'll just say from there, for the most of them, which is true, they don't do that. But for most messages, it's not that important. But if you're thinking that your client is the best, we're just going to tease you, and you should look at that list, and we're just going to dissect it.
Yep.
It's eye-opening. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. I mean, yes, the show today was brought to you by Cyber Missles, but read the news articles for yourself and think, could this really be true? And unfortunately, it wasn't an Onion headline. Okay, guys. Have a good weekend.
See you guys. Bye.